Would you like to be seated? Yeah, I think it will be cool to sit down and just have a like a, what you call it, fireside talk. You have your mic over there, and it's really a pleasure. Now you all remember July 13, 2024, and you were actually seated very, very close to President, and you saw all of it happen.
I did. First, before I say anything else, let me say what a pleasure it is to be here with you today. When I was invited to do this, I took a look at my calendar and I saw, well, that's on a Tuesday. And Tuesday nights for me, as the mayor of my municipality, means we have council meetings and there's important business to be done there. But I think it's so very important that we're getting together for fellowship in a place like this, where we're not just talking about the ideals that hold us together politically, but as far as our faith is concerned, that we need to strengthen those bonds. So thank you all very much for having me here today. Thank you. And as for that day, I can tell you that I've had like 4 very distinct moments in my life where I can recall that my faith wasn't just tested, but it was fortified. I think the first and most profound in my life, I was a young man, was when I went to Afghanistan as a Marine Corps infantry rifleman. The second was when I married my wife. On the altar before God, we made a sacred pledge and promise to one another. The third was whenever I had my newborn daughter. Well, she's now almost 6 months. But right before that was July 13th, 2024. In the events, of course, that you're all familiar with, that occurred at the Butler Farm Show in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I wasn't just close to the president, I had the honor of getting to speak that day and open up that rally. And I was with the president about 15 to 20 minutes before he was shot. And we, believe me when I tell you, when I say we had a front row seat to it all, we had a front row seat. So yes, sir, I was there.
Now, you sent a few video clips. I don't know if we are able to see them. Not yet? Facebook is ready. Let's see the Facebook. Because I think these are some of these moments that are really, really historic and really important for us to see. And thank you, Josh, for being so flexible. By the way, this guy is a pilot who is doing the sound and audio video, and he's volunteering. He's bringing his whole family to do the video and audio work. He did it in Mar-a-Lago. He did it in New York. He does it here. Josh, eternally thankful. I mean, actually, genius family. We'll talk about him a little later. But let's see the Facebook so far.
So, and there's no audio here, but what you'll be able to see, if you get it to play, but it's not necessary, at the top left and top right, if you can enlarge this, you'll notice there's the president. There's 2 folks that took videos that day, and here's my wife. She's panning over to me because the president had made a joke about 15 minutes before saying, "I liked your speech," and she said, "Do you really think that he saw your speech?" I said, "Well, I'd like to think so, but you know, he's a busy man. Maybe somebody told him I was on stage before." Well, here I saw a video and a picture of him on Trump Force One watching my speech. I said, "You got to be kidding." I knew the guy wasn't a liar, and that proved it, you know. So he was, again, he comes out and he says, "Hey, good job again," right? And then down in the bottom you'll see. But the reason why I wanted you to see that is so you understood. When I say a front row seat, how many of you have been to a Trump rally? So, you know, oftentimes the president has a great long stage that he'll walk out on, and we are seated, me and other speakers are seated to the right. So you'll see the podium about 15 to 20 feet to my 12 o'clock is where the president is addressing the Butler Farm Show, and we are to his right at his 3 o'clock. And there's a picture of my wife and I up top with the president, and we're chatting beforehand. And I have to tell you, if you ever get an opportunity to meet the man, he's everything that you believe he is and more. He's gracious, he's kind, he's attentive, he gives you his undivided attention, and it's a great privilege to get to speak to a man like that. So,
isn't it a miracle how he turned his head? I mean, it would have looked so different if he didn't.
It certainly was, and I'm glad that you used that word miracle, because it's such a strange dichotomy to live in, and it's hard to reconcile with the fact that many of us here believe, I'm sure, How many, I want to see, how many of you think it was a miracle that day that President Trump, absolutely, right? You can't even deny it. And I can tell you, watching it unfold in front of my eyes, that he, in fact, he looked to his right in our direction, and I watched him grab his ear. And so after that all ended, I thought, wow, I can't believe that it was just this much. Everything could have been different, right? And so we think about that miracle, and we give thanks to God in heaven. Thank you so much, Lord, for saving this man who so many of us have placed our trust in to save this nation and to lead us. And yet at the same time, we have to live with the reality that for Corey Comparator's family, it's hard for them to use that word miracle. For James Copenhaver and David Dutch, who were very nearly killed that day, they were also shot, hard to use that word miracle. And yet, isn't it amazing that we're still able to find good in something like that? You know, when the devil and his agents seek to do bad to us, isn't it incredible that God is able to even turn those things to good for us? And we saw so much good that ensued thereafter.
So the second video is ready as well. You wanted to play?
Started the day here in Butler. You're in a tent to meet the president and photo with him.
I gotta say, I was just so impressed by how complimentary he was. And my wife got to join me, so again, it was a great honor. She was so excited as a law enforcement officer to be able to enjoy a moment with the president. Then he asked me about what it was like on the ground here. He said, what's going on in Butler County, Mayor? How is it looking out there in Pennsylvania? I said, Mr. President, Butler County's working very hard for you, sir. We're going to deliver Pennsylvania to you and get you back to the White House.
And then, of course, you know that we got him back to the White House, right? And how I mean, again, we thank God that he was able to help us in that endeavor.
That's quite a moment, really, if you think how close we were to a disaster or a tragedy, and how God saved him to save America. I really believe that this happened for that purpose, and not just America. It seems like the whole world has changed in a very, very dramatic way since the election's victory. And I think we need to pray for President Trump. And that's why we will go back to Mar-a-Lago in January 2026. And we will just do that to bring prayer to that place. You know, we had a Jerusalem prayer breakfast in Mar-a-Lago in January this year. And it was a great success, an amazing time, really, really powerful. And I asked the people who work there, and I said, have you ever had anything like this in Mar-a-Lago? And they said, no, it's the first time that prayer and worship is being brought to this place. So that's why we need to do that. And I would really like to have you all come to Mar-a-Lago for that day. And
It'd be an honor, thank you.
So anything else, Mayor, you want to share with us this afternoon?
So I don't want to be hot and stuffy. I know you guys have heard so much by way of speaking today. So at some point, I would love to, if you'd like to, I'd love to take questions. But, you know, a lot of my friends have said, why do you continue to speak about this, right? Like, would you like to put it behind you? And the fact is that there are so many people, and no one more than the Comparator family, who can put this behind us, right? And it's so important that we don't allow for this to be forgotten. But more than that, you know, the thing that and again, it's a horrific instance, right, that we had to endure that day, but I'm also grateful for it. What I haven't told you is that my wife in that picture with the president is about 10 weeks pregnant, and she had just told me days prior that I'm going to be a father. And that changes everything. How many of you have children? So you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And things were just so different for me at that point. And as somebody who's been in the thick of things, you typically have your head on a swivel and you're looking around to make sure that, you know, everything is copacetic. But in this particular instance, I'm now feeling an entirely new fear and caution because my wife is carrying my unborn child. And not only that, I have my mother-in-law, my little sister, who's 10 years younger than me, all with me here in this moment. I never could have imagined, of course, that what was about to transpire would have. But the reason I love to tell that side of this story is that, you know, it's moments like that when you face adversity, and especially with those that are nearest to you, where it's really easy for you to turn away from God. And a lot of people even feel anger in that moment against God. I mean, we see it in Scripture often where some of the most holy people at times seem to be wrestling and even cursing God and saying, why would you do this? And yet, again, I just want to say how amazing is it that God is able to turn something so bad into something so good. You know, this wasn't just about physical safety for us in this moment, but in the days and months thereafter, it was about spiritual reawakening for not just the community of Butler, but for the United States of America. And it was about spiritual healing. You know, I saw such a return to God in those moments. And there's a saying, Senator, you probably heard this before, there's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole, right? And I'll tell you, you know, you figure those things out in that moment. And more than that, I want to thank all of you. I don't know who said it, but I heard it just as I was taking my seat that, you know, people of faith stood up, and none more than in the last few years, right, where we're finally seeing people saying enough is enough. And I want to thank all of you because you're playing an instrumental and a vital role here, not just in the Commonwealth, but across the United States and all the way to Jerusalem and Israel, and making sure that people around the world know and understand that enough is enough. We're not going to tolerate this. And whether it's an assassination attempt in Butler or a heartless, awful terrorist attack in Jerusalem or in Israel, we're not going to tolerate it. We're not going to sit down and take it. And we have God on our side. And so we know that no matter what, we're going to be victorious. And so it's because of God that I'm here with you today. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here when I say this, but I hope you reflect on moments like that and take something from it and walk away with renewed faith.
Can we take 2 questions?
Yes, I would love to take questions. Thank you.
2 questions.
He did come back a second time. And again, I was honored, although it was a totally different experience than any other rally I'd participated in. I've spoken in 11, 12 different rallies. And for those of you who have been there, you know that it's very much like a rock concert and a church service and like everything all in one, right? It's just this amazing, energetic place, and it's full of camaraderie and hope, and everybody is in such good spirits. That was a different rally than anything I'd ever experienced. And when they asked me to participate again, it wasn't for the typical stand up and rile up the crowd and get them energetic and ready to hear the president. It was to MC the first half of that program, which was memorial for Corey Comparator. It was remembrance of those who were affected in a negative way that day. And it was such a different experience for me in that, you know, I'm not a faith leader. I'm just newly married. What do I know, you know, about life? Granted, I've been to war and back, but again, who am I to lead a community in this? And not just our community that's there, right? But everybody around the world is watching in this moment. Again, grateful for that opportunity. But what was incredible about it was that, you know, for all the times that I hear President Trump is selfish and he only cares about himself and what have you, I can tell you with the utmost certainty that that rally was not about Donald J. Trump. It wasn't a rally. It was a memorial service. It was a nod to all of those who were there that day. It was a nod to everyone who was suffering around the country and trying to find answers to that. That was a great moment of healing for our community, and what courage it took for him, and not just him, but his teammates, right, and members of his campaign and his staff to return to that place to give us, those of us in Butler who lived through that tragedy and witnessed these things happen, to let us know that we weren't forgotten and that we weren't going to allow it to be forgotten, that he was going to stand with us. And that was the second time that I knew for certain that Donald J. Trump was the person not just that this country needed, but that we deserved. He showed us the first time when he raised his hand in triumphant defiance and said, fight, fight, fight. And the second time was when he took that stage, again, for the second time in the exact same spot. And he let us all know exactly who he was in that moment.
The last question. Here.
I'm curious if you detect a change in the vibe of your community now in the areas.
I've detected a lot of change. It's so strange. Again, it's this strange like dichotomy. In one instance, or on one side of it, you've never seen our movement so strong. And don't get me wrong, Butler County and the surrounding area has always been Trump country, right? Like it was blood red, it was conservative, patriotic, people of faith. But I've never seen the resolve of people like that so strong as I have since then. And then in the same instance, and I hate to, I'm not going to get too political here, but there's another side to this. I've never seen the opposition so vile and so intent on trying to tear us down in our mission. And I realized that it's not because of the man that they're blaming everything for. It's not because of the president. It's because all of us are standing up again, and we're saying enough is enough, and we're using our voice to remind them that we won't be bullied. And even whenever we're in the seeming minority, we're still going to stand strong, and we're going to take a beating if we need to. And again, grateful for those things because it's it's strengthened our resolve, not just to push politically for the things that we believe in, but to protect and defend the things that we know are morally correct and truth in the divine. We're here to defend those things.
Mayor Longo, we are really, really thankful to you, for coming today. Really appreciate it. Thank you for standing.
It's an honor to be here,
for
sir.
the truth and for the freedom. And I really believe that this is a young man with a great promise, and God only knows what's the limit. They say sky is the limit. So pray for Mayor Jondavid Longo, and God will have his good hand on him and will take you to the places where he has determined for you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank
so
you all
much.
very much. Thanks. It's an honor to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.